Hi, everyone. Greetings. Happy spring. It is February 28th. It is a beautiful spring day. I am here at my little retreat cabin in Central East Austin. I will show you briefly around a little bit, grabbing my camera here. So here we have the front room here. And here we have a view of some spring because we're going to be talking about spring renewal today. Spring renewal with my new yoga series. So this time of year, we have all these wonderful new leaves coming off the tree, coming on the trees. Spring is in bloom. I don't know if you can see this gorgeous view here very well, but I do have another video in which I gave a tour. And so I'll be sharing that too, give a better tour. For this video, I wanted to talk about spring renewal with yoga. I had a 9-week yoga series called Yoga Renewal, and it is based on the human developmental movement patterns that our bodies are formed in when our bodies are forming inside our mother's wombs. So developmental movement repatterning is a beautiful thing. I love it in yoga because it really helps us find the origins of our best alignment. So everyone's different and everyone has a different body. Everyone has a different history and different lives. We do different things during the day. We have different histories with our bodies, different activities that we're physically doing. Everyone's at different ages, different life stages. And so for everyone to be doing a yoga practice where everyone looks exactly the same and they're moving at exactly the same time and they're trying to look like an image that might be what the teacher looks like or what the people next to them look like or what a yoga magazine looks like or something like that. There's a probability that moving through yoga in that way could cause injury because not all bodies are the same. We certainly don't want to try to look like everyone else while we're practicing. A lot of yoga postures are very dynamic and complex, and it can be very easy to get out of balance and to injure your body when, if there's a tendency to kind of move through the yoga practice in more of a superficial way, especially if we're trying to copycat what someone else is doing or do exactly as we're told in a yoga class. Sometimes that can lead to injury because only we know what's best for us, right? If I'm coming into a class and I have a vulnerable ankle or a lower back or something like that, I would want to know how to take care of myself in that practice so that I can customize for myself, modify for myself, and create a practice for myself that's best for me. So that's in essence a little bit about the Yoga Renewal series that I have. I take people through 9 weeks and we start at the cellular level. And we also learn about the 8 limbs of yoga, about yoga as a lifestyle practice, healthy everyday lifestyle practice. And we learn about yoga philosophy and we take a deep dive into yoga practices that are best for us. So we go through from the cellular level through orienting around our navel center and the umbilicus to each of the different developmental movements that we go through in the womb within a yoga practice. And so what this does is it gives you a rebirth. It gives you an opportunity to reconnect with your origins of your best alignment, to reconnect with yourself in all of your wholeness, to take a deep dive into yourself and to experience your body, your mind, your heart, your emotions, your energy body, all the layers that make you as a whole person. You get to take a deep, deep dive into your wholeness to explore and discover natural aspects of yourself that you can tap into, become more familiar with, and utilize as sources for stability and ease in your movement. Um, so the Yoga Renewal series is great for those who or just want to start a yoga practice, maybe you had a New Year's resolution of starting a yoga practice. And maybe at this point, now that it's spring, where are you at with that? Could you use some assistance, some support in feeling oriented in your new yoga practice and creating the practice that's right for you? Um, Another great reason for taking the Yoga Renewal series is if you're coming out of that COVID life interruption and just finding your rhythm again, finding your healthy patterns again, getting out, practicing yoga again in public settings, um, and want to do that in a skillful way so that you have a good understanding and so you are promoting longevity and preventing injury in your yoga journey. So another great reason why people love the Yoga Renewal series is when you're at a point in your life where you have maybe had a healing crisis or an injury, and so you've had to stop and now restart with your life in multiple different ways, whether it's a change in career, a burnout, a significant illness that you've gotten over, a surgery that you've recently healed from. Um, if you went through a crisis in your life and you're just kind of reorienting, or if you're embarking on a new, exciting, positive growth in your life and you'd like to have a personalized yoga practice as a strong resource for yourself, for your self-empowerment, self-regeneration, self-healing, and self-care. So I invite everyone to reach out to me, message me. I'm going to take this video, hopefully, and post it on my social media sites and my websites. The intention of this video is just to explain the Yoga Renewal series. So it's a 9-week series. We start with the cellular and we go through each of the movement patterns. They support each other in layers, and they also support each other in the non-linear way too. So things that people experience at the end of the 9 weeks, what I've seen is I've seen drastic improvement in posture. One example I have in mind is a student who had a significantly noticeable kyphosis, so a quite pronounced upper back rounding with the head forward. And it was kind of an extreme case. Like you could see it, if the person walked into the room, you could see it from far away. And that individual, after going through this series with me, now just stands straight and tall. And it's not really an effort, it's just a natural way of being. Another example I can think of is a student who has come through the series material with me. And prior to moving through the repatterning in yoga practice, this individual had a many years of yoga practice, had taken teacher training, has a regular consistent practice, studies with very accomplished, very reputable teachers on a regular basis, a very serious yoga practitioner. And what was the case before moving through the embodied somatic repatterning in yoga process that we do in Yoga Renewal is that there was a lot of effort and there was a lot of striving and there was a lot of tension in the body. There was a lot of gripping. The breath wasn't flowing very freely. It was a lot of effort. And a lot of the effort that was going on in this person's practice was compromising the stability of the sacroiliac joint. And there was just some other roadblocks they were coming into with their yoga practice. And at the end, after going through this material, this individual now, when they move through life, I can see a difference when they're just being themselves and saying hello and walking into a room. There's a difference, a big difference, but especially in the yoga asana practices, moving in certain ways rather than struggle and striving and kind of a gripping and a shortness of breath. even though they were doing everything correctly, there is now a very touching experience of being plugged in to something greater and a resourceful like support behind this person's movement. There's greater ease, there's less struggle, less striving, more kind of self-assuredness, more self-reliance, more softness. And sacroiliac pain is not there anymore. Reoccurring chronic low back pain went away. Different issues that we're working on in the feet are getting just better and better, just, layers and layers emerging of greater ease and stability and just that feeling of wellness. So in my personal case, what I've noticed from doing the Yoga Renewal series is that prior to moving through the embodied somatic developmental movement repatterning that I did myself in this very same series, I was practicing in my yoga practice for at least 10 years, my first 10 years of yoga teaching and yoga practicing. I have a very flexible, hypermobile body, and even though I was very deep and committed and wholehearted in my yoga practice, I was kind of flinging myself through movements that weren't actually really nurturing and nourishing for my body, for my particular individual structure. A lot of the practices that I was doing in my committed yoga practice were weakening and destabilizing me and creating a feeling of like, I can never get it right enough, or I can never, be strong enough, or kind of this always self-improvement vying kind of an energy, and not a lot of stability and ease and not a lot of strength. So I really blew out my back, and really did a lot of harm to my body by practicing yoga in a way that wasn't very deeply embodied. And I didn't even know it, of course. But going through the Yoga Renewal series, I realized unconscious patterns that I was moving with. And I had a chance to notice those unconscious habitual patterns of movement, which obstructed my body's own more natural patterns of movement, which are the patterns of movement that our bodies are formed with in the womb. So just coming back to contacting that original blueprint, remembering that original blueprint, awakening interoceptive abilities to feel within yourself to that degree, to that level. It's like one of my students said, it's like, oh, now I have a vocabulary. Or now I have skillfulness. Now I have like a tool belt full of tools and skillfulness that I have, so that when I'm moving in yoga asana, which is the same thing as when you're moving to pick up your child, or when you're moving on the treadmill, or when you're moving as you're working at your computer in your everyday life, how we move in yoga is how we move in the world. Hopefully that's what our practice supports for us. Those movements can be in agreement with your most natural origins of your best alignment, or those repetitive habitual movements and patterns can be obstructing those original patterns. And one way to think about that real easily is, we sit in chairs a lot as Americans in this culture. We do a lot of chairs. We sit at chairs at our kitchen table. We sit in a chair in the car. We sit in a chair at work. We sit in a chair when we come home to relax. And that is just not at all the way that our body is designed to move in the world. And when we're babies and children, what we do a lot of times is we take little kids and we make them sit in chairs, right? So as their body is continuing to grow with its own natural patterns and ways of moving, we kind of can take it and interrupt it by how we move in this modern world today. Sitting in a lot of chairs is one thing that we do that actually reverses the muscle currenting in the psoas muscle and creates a bit of a disconnect because we're not getting the connection that we need because of the dynamics of what happens when we're sitting in a chair. Whereas if we're young kids laying on our bellies and running around and rolling on the floor, those are just natural movement patterns that our body innately has, that innate intelligence to go with. And there's just ways that we cut that off in this culture when we get disconnected from living in nature more and just living and moving in a more natural way. So the Yoga Renewal series is a wonderful way to renew your relationship with your body, to come into a deeper understanding of your body, all the way down to the embodied experience at the cellular level. You can even experience your own cellular respiration as the physical organization of meditation. You can take an embodied felt experience of equanimity and harmony within you. You can access that more easily with these tools and awarenesses that you get introduced to in this series, rather than a sense of peace, equanimity, and harmony being something that we think about or tell ourselves to do, or having it be a mental process. We actually get to dive deep and make it a felt, experienced, embodied um, experience of harmony, integration, peace, interconnectedness, stability, ease, clarity. Um, so that's a little bit about the Yoga Renewal series. It is 9 classes. It's like the 9 months of your gestation. So it really is a rebirth and a renewal using the tool of yoga, the beautiful ancient self-transformational practice of yoga that helps us to get in touch with our true nature, and to have a journey of personal evolution that begins with our own innate wholeness and always returns back to our original innate wholeness and that source of life that everything that is alive is born from, and that everything returns back to after death, that original source, that everything alive in nature, as well as our own bodies, um, has that natural blueprint within it. And so we're reconnecting with that in the Yoga Renewal series. It's beautiful. I've taught it so many times over the past 15 years. It's an incredible tool of self-love and self-care and personal growth and transformation. The Yoga Renewal series is a great practice to do if you're coming out of the COVID experience and re-engaging with life again and wanting to have a healthy spring renewal with healthy habits and a renewal in your yoga practice and in your life. So I hope that you'll join me. I offer Yoga Renewal as a 9-week series virtually online as well as in person in this beautiful location here. I also offer the Yoga Renewal series as private repatterning sessions at Shunya Yoga Collective on Saturday afternoons after I teach my morning class there. So reach out to me, find me on social media and on my website. Everything is just my name, Summer Greenlees. So it's summer like the season and Greenlees. You can see it on my channel. 4 E's, it makes you smile, Greenlees. And that's my Instagram, my Facebook, and my website. So reach out, find me, and I'd love to include you in my spring Yoga Renewal series. Thank you so much. Let me know if there's any questions. Look forward to hearing from you.